Today I'm here with the strongest man alive, the most bearded, masculine, magnificent, fantastic, friendly, sensitive, emotional, phenomenal human. Who are you again?
My name is Joshua Walter Collins.
Whoa, damn, Joshua Walter Collins. I had no idea your middle name was Walter. That's so cool.
It's a fun
Tell
fact.
us tell us all about that. Bring us back to the day you were named and the day you popped out into this world, and tell us a little bit about that, Joshua Walter Collins, otherwise known as Josh Collins. Where were you born? Where were you raised? Tell us a little bit about that.
I was born in Gander, Newfoundland. I
Mm.
grew up for the first 7 years of my life in an adjacent town called Harebay. Harebay
Mm.
had 900 people, so there's no hospital. So we drove 40 minutes to Gander, and I was born there. And we drove back. First 7 years of my life were in Newfoundland, and then my mom, my dad, my sister, and I moved to Alberta, and I
Mm.
grew up kind of all over Alberta.
Oh wow.
Little small towns everywhere, keeping the low population thing going. And when I was 18, 19, I moved to Vancouver to pursue a career in the film industry.
Well, damn, man. Yo, you took us through the fast forward version of your young adult life, young childhood. Tell us about, I'm so curious, man. Like, I know you, I've known you since I worked with you on this wonderful film called Souls Road, which we'll get into, but let's go to the beginnings of you as little Josh. Little
All
Josh.
right.
Bring us to maybe like the first moments that you started getting that acting bug, or what were like the creative
Hmm.
influences, in your youth that maybe indicated that there might be a possibility in storytelling for you?
It's a very good question. I feel like a big part of it was honestly my mom and my sister. For
Mm,
a good chunk of our childhood, she was a single mom, and
mm,
I kind of took on this role of like I just enjoyed making them laugh, and I
mm-hmm.
found through imitations of cartoon characters or wacky quotes or like jumping downstairs, they would laugh, and I
Oh,
really just enjoyed that. I think it started there, and I mean, obviously,
mm,
I was like, oh, I'm getting attention. This is fucking awesome.
mm,
So
mm,
that sparked it a little bit. But I think for me,
hmm,
it was a big thing of like, I'm having a lot of fun and I'm getting validation that this is something I can do.
hmm.
So that I think the earliest, dude, I think the first thing I ever did was like a play in church, you know? I think I
Wow.
played Jonah in this church play when I was like young. But the first thing that really pops out as performing arts was we're living in a town called Athabasca in Alberta,
Mm-hmm,
another small town,
mm-hmm,
and they had this musical theater program there,
mm-hmm.
and I had joined in on that as like this extracurricular thing, and they were doing Peter and the Wolf. I think I've told you this story too.
Oh yes.
So they're doing Peter and the Wolf. Um, I'm the only boy there, and I think there was 6 or 7 girls, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm a shoe in
Nice.
for the Wolf, if not Peter. This is going to be great. And
Nice.
we do. I don't remember if there was auditions. I don't think there were. I think it was just like everyone's doing their own thing, and
Mm-hmm,
then they get cast. The preamble to that, one of the things she was having us do for this audition
mm-hmm.
was you had to float around the room and pretend to be a leaf,
Oh wow.
and that was it. Yeah, yeah, totally. Like it's a profound thing to think of. I was like, that's kind of cool. It reminds me of that Marlon Brando thing when he was in class, and they're like, pretend to be a chicken in a rainstorm, and all the chickens are
Mm.
running around, and Brando is just standing there looking up at it. And he was like, well, chicken doesn't know what a rainstorm is. There's something like that. But everyone is being a leaf.
Wow.
Mine isn't as profound. And I was just running around like a B-12 bomber. Like we had
Nice.
these scarves to use as the leaf. And I was just like,
Wow.
and she didn't like that. I think I
Too
think that
bold a
garnered,
choice.
dude. Apparently, I think it garnered a phone call to my mom actually. But so we get to the casting of Peter and the Wolf, and I'm looking, and it's like, oh, Peter's being played by. I'm like, oh, Caitlin, okay. I get to the Wolf, and I'm like, all
That's
right,
me.
Margaret, and I'm like, I'm scrolling down, scrolling down. It's like Sasha the Duck, who is a girl, Josh Collins. I'm like, what the fuck? So that was that, and then I remember doing the play, but I think I was like, like 7 and spiteful. So I was just a little dick about it the whole time. And by the end of it, this phone call has happened a few times where they call my mom and say like he's too immature for this
Oh,
class or something like that. Right? It's a softer note. It happened in karate too. They're like, you got to bring him back when he's ready to take this seriously.
oh my
That
god.
a few different times actually, and I was just like apparently never ready to take it seriously. That happened in high school drama class. The teacher wouldn't let me take her drama class because she didn't think I was someone who was going to take acting seriously. She
Wow.
was right.
Wow, my god.
So that was the
Wow.
first inkling of like performing was fun. Even like all that aside, it was a lot of fun, and I was trying to do school plays and stuff. Um,
Okay.
at that point, I don't think I'd formulated that it could have been a career yet. I don't think I did that till probably high school. I just enjoyed acting. I liked doing plays. By the time I hit high school, we were just making, there was a computer class where you could make videos. And as soon as I realized I could just make videos with friends and get graded on it, I would skip my morning class and write something. And then we had the
Mhm.
computer class with all my friends. We'd film something, and then I'd skip my evening class and edit it and just make these little YouTube videos. Half of them didn't even make it up, but
Whoa.
just because I enjoyed it, and I was like, okay, I think this is something. And
Wow.
then did a couple of high school musicals, and then applied to Vancouver Film School, and was right after I did my second year of grade 12. I was straight to Vancouver and
Whoa.
started film school.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
well, tell me, like, that's interesting too, because your debut was in theater, right? That's
Mhm.
probably what was accessible to you at that age or at that time or where you were, right? So there wasn't necessarily a huge film industry. There weren't necessarily any film actors or film industry around you, but you were interested in film. Like it eventually culminated towards YouTube and then film. So tell me,
Yeah.
were there any early film influences, like television
Um,
shows or films that you watched that also influenced that?
yeah, it's a great question. Definitely. I remember some of the movies I watched as a kid. I watched the Titanic pretty young, and I
Oh,
really, really
nice.
liked Titanic. I really liked Leonardo DiCaprio. Um,
Mm,
I watched a lot of cartoons, but I still enjoyed that a lot. And I think that's where a lot of like the impressions and voices came from. Um,
mm,
Terminator 2, I got into like those like
nice.
80s muscle action movies pretty young, and those
Oh,
were
nice.
fucking
Oh,
formative for sure.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely not some like art house film that got me into it. I didn't see The Godfather and I was like, I want to be an actor. Like it wasn't anything like that. I was like
No,
probably like it was like bench warmers with Rob Schneider and
those are some art
David Spade.
house in some way.
Dude, Benchwarmers is great. The
It's
Ringer with
great.
Johnny Knoxville, those
Oh
ones I
yeah.
think really I was like, this looks fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's what really I think sparked that. Like I can just have fun as a career, and acting is so fun to me that
Oh.
like if I could just pay my bills with it, like that is such a success in my books, you know? Like it's
Mm,
just that fun that I was like, people do this for a living? And they're
mm,
like, I'm like, yeah, okay, let's try and do that. So yeah,
mm,
theater was a big influence. We used to watch, like my mom was big into it. She's a huge influence for all of this. Like she's a writer. Um,
mm.
she did a lot of community theater, and we'd go watch her shows, and they'd be like murder mysteries and stuff like that. And
Oh
I remember
wow.
she was doing one, and she was supposed to be mopping the floor, and it's just community theater, but she was like complaining during rehearsals because they kept giving her a dry mop, and she was like it feels weird. Like I want the mop to be wet. Like I'm supposed to be mopping, but they were like,
Mm.
someone's gonna slip on it, and she was just so adamant that like the wet mop added to the performance. And I'm like, I'm with you, lady. Like
Method
that's
actor.
great. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Wow.
But so I think that was formative. She took us to see lots of shows and musicals and stuff. So I kind of grew up around that. And
Oh
for a
wow.
long time, was convinced I was like, oh, I'm going to be like a Broadway actor. I don't want to do film. I'm going to be, I'm going to do Les Mis. I really liked Les Mis. Always wanted to do that. Hey, we're recording out here.
This is Doc.
Yeah.
He's
But
welcome to come on the podcast if he's just jealous that he
I
needs some
told him
screen
he's
time.
just kind of a backseat reader right now.
Yeah, you're like, "But that's not true." He's making it up.
He doesn't have a mom. Shut up.
Oh
But
man, yo, wow.
yeah, theater was a big influence. I do think those movies like Benchwarmers and The Ringer and that era of like
Oh yeah.
2000s comedy,
Oh yeah.
like was probably the biggest influence for me. And then
Mm,
YouTube guys like watching Smosh,
yeah.
like they
Mm.
got me into like wanting to do stuff. And then I think it just kind of became a thing in high school when we're doing that stuff. We're doing these YouTube shorts. And I always remembered there was this, I wanted to make this vampire movie really bad.
Oh
I
wow.
just watched the remake of Fright Night with Colin Farrell, and it
Whoa.
was like again nothing art housey. That's what put Colin Farrell on my map. That's how like
Wow.
off I was from it. But I was like, I wanted to make a vampire movie, and I knew I wanted to
Wow.
start with a vampire killing this lady, and then I wanted the song Electric Avenue to come in, and all these kids are like on their way to school, and I
Nice.
had this all fleshed out, and I didn't have a part for me in it. I was just writing, and I wanted all my friends to do this because I just wanted to make a movie. And I
Wow.
think that's when I started to like, I'm like, man, I think I like film. Not to knock theater. I enjoy the medium of film a lot more than theater.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And it's been I've done the theater here in Vancouver. I've done a couple times, and I always found it's different for sure, right?
Yeah.
My favorite thing about film is if I forget my line, I can say a line and someone shouts it out to me, and then I have it. Theater is a
Yeah.
different animal for sure. There's a different stamina. You're doing the same scene every night for 3 months or something like that. I had to do the same scene for 4 days on set once, and I wanted to bash my head in.
Oof,
Like
yeah.
it's just different. I feel like I'm a strong actor. I think I'm stronger in film. Maybe something will happen to change that one day. My heart is with film, though.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Really cool. Wow, that's so cool. And with those YouTube shorts, what did you feel like you learned from those, but also what kind of movies or shorts were you making?
What did I learn? One of the first things that I've really kind of stood out, I was filming this thing where it's two people talking in a diner, and I hadn't really understood at that point that when you film something on set, you film, a wide on everybody, you film a master, and then you get a close up on this guy for his coverage or a close up on that guy for their coverage, and they cut between. And I thought I was like, I have a great idea. What if I film all of your stuff and then I film all of your stuff and I intercut it? I was like, this is revolutionary. No one's ever done this. And it was one of those things that like I was just kind of stumbling into stuff that like people know. But it was like for
Ah,
me, it was like I wasn't taught that, I kind of like I was like, oh, I
yeah.
think that's a good idea. And then, I didn't know what ADR was, but I was like, oh, we should voice this all over because the sound's all over the place. So I ended up doing ADR on it as well.
Wow.
The shorts themselves, man, a lot of them were just fucking goofy parodies. Like there's one of
Uh-huh.
just us like running down the hall with lightsabers.
Wow.
I dress up as Jack Sparrow in one, and we're just running through the school. I ran through the girls' gym class, like they're doing the 12-minute run, and I just ran in and ran the lap, and you can see the teacher in it just pointing and yelling at me to get out. And I kept up the run the whole time. But lots of just parody stuff. Like I didn't really get into wanting to do something seriously until after film school. Even in film school, I was like, I'm gonna be a funny actor.
Oh,
And
wow.
like in my VFS audition, I did a dramatic monologue and then a comedic monologue, and I talk about like, it's like, well, what other career would you have instead of being an actor? And I said, well, I'd like to be a comedian because I still want to make people laugh, and that is so far from true now. I would never be a comedian, not
Wow.
a chance.
Whoa.
So it's a lot of progression. I mean, I graduated 13, 14 years ago, so it's such a journey since then, you know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Whoa, interesting. Yeah, so you wow, okay. What provoked that shift from maybe like a really wanting to make people laugh and comedy being like a big ambition for you to now I think you bring a lot of honest grit to your performances and to the movies you end up making and writing to. Um I find there's like a truthfulness and a vulnerability within the strength. And also, you've transformed, I'm sure, your body over time into a vehicle for. I think you could easily do comedy still too, but
I
tell me
agree.
about maybe how that initial sort of like I'm going to be this funny guy kind of thing
Mhm.
evolved into who you are. Maybe like what was like the major catalyst for that?
I think, I mean, obviously the chance to explore it is minimal, you know. So all I was
Hmm.
exploring with YouTube and doing all that stuff with my friends was comedy. Um,
Hmm.
and then getting into film school, you know, you're studying all these. We watched Dog Day Afternoon in my first film
Oh
class,
my.
and I was
Oh my.
blown away. I'd never really gotten into like anything really art house, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then I started to study these other actors, and then I really got into, you know, the Brando era, and he was my
Oh yeah.
guy. And I'd never knocked comedy. I still think to be a strong comedic actor, you have to be a strong dramatic actor. I think they go hand in hand. You know, you look at
Yeah.
Adam Sandler in anything, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I think to answer your question, I think that transformation slowly came probably after film school, maybe a little bit during, because I was doing some dramatic stuff during and I started to enjoy it, but I always still wanted to be a comedic actor. And then post film school, you know, you don't get it's rare to get auditions for comedies. And
Mm.
one of my director writer buddies told me this, a guy named Nick Shostakovsky, and he said, you see, a lot of indie films that get made are horror, and
Oh yeah.
they're the easiest to get funding for with no name actors.
Mm.
Um, not to knock actor, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
for if you watch a trailer for a horror movie, you want it to be scary. You don't necessarily need to know who's in it because that honestly
Yeah.
almost breaks a little wall of illusion. If you're
Mm.
watching a trailer for a comedy, even if it looks funny, you're like, I don't know who these people are.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
I'm not going to go see it. So
Yeah.
it was, I don't think that discouraged me from comedy, but I was like, okay, like I felt stuff starting to, I think, click doing dramatic acting that wasn't
Mm.
clicking in the way that I felt comedy was. And I
Mm.
just felt the more I took acting seriously, um, I think just to circle back to what you were saying, not to like toot my own horn on like the vulnerability and stuff like that, but I think there's a big
Hmm.
truth in that I could bring to it. And it's like
Mm.
I'd still love to do comedy, but I feel like I can tell more of my honest self in dramatic, in um, just real looks into people's lives. I think I have a little bit more of a lens, not a lens. There's more of an honest portrayal coming out of that.
Mm. Hmm.
It just sounds
Mm.
like I'm too depressed to be a comedian, man.
Well, maybe not enough because a lot of the comedians seem to pull from that depression too. But I'm really, yeah, that's so cool to understand that. So that shift happened for you, and I love that you talked about early on those action films like the Terminator. So do you believe that when did the like the physicality of who you are as a
Hmm.
performer become that important? Was that similar timeline, or when did
I
that sort of happen? Because you were a built like a tank, but
thanks,
you
man.
like you're not born
It,
that way, but you built
no,
that. So
not
tell
always
me
been
about
the
that.
case. It. I started the first time I set foot in a gym was in my second year of grade. So I got kicked out of grade 12 for doing all
Oh,
those fucking movies, right?
classic.
So I ended up like there was teachers that were like, no, I don't want him in my class. I wasn't allowed in certain
Wow.
hallways because I would just, I'd run in with a lightsaber. So
Yeah.
so
As
they
Jack
weren't
Sparrow with a lightsaber. Yeah.
exactly. So I ended up getting
Wow.
kicked out after an ordeal of things, and then I went to the other school to finish grade 12 the next year.
Wow.
And in between that, I did a musical. I'll circle back to remind
Oh
me.
my
But
God. Wow.
during gym class in that other school, we went to the weight room, and I'd never really been in a gym before. I was like, I'm not going to be a muscle monkey, all that. And getting in there, I was like, oh, this is pretty fucking fun.
Yeah.
And then getting to film school, we had the audition class format where you film it, and you sit down and you watch everyone's auditions and you talk through them. And I remember when mine got up on screen, I was like, oh, I'm so fucking skinny. Like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
6'4", but I was about 100 pounds less than 80 pounds less than I am now.
Damn. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And was just like, I'm like, oh, I'm at that point, Marvel was huge. And I was like, I'm never going to play Thor looking like that.
Wow.
I'm never going to be in
Wow.
Commando or Predator looking like that. So I really
Wow.
started to take it seriously in film school, and I've just kind
Wow.
of slowly refined method. I got a ton of like certifications with personal training and mobility and
Yeah.
bodybuilding and blah blah blah. And just the more I got into that, especially mobility, the more I got into understanding my body and tension in my body, it really helped me. I have a coach that calls your body your instrument. It needs to be tuned.
Mm-hmm.
You really need
Mm-hmm.
to understand what's happening in it. When you feel like, I know when my traps are tight, that I'm like, oh, I'm carrying a lot of tension right now. I know I need to
Mm-hmm.
do whatever stretch to relax. I'm not relaxed. This is tight. I have a very good awareness of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And the deeper that awareness got of my body, it deepened the awareness of my sense of self. And then I watched my work improve from there. So it became a
Right.
huge part of it for me, man. And it went hand in hand with as seriously as I took the gym was as seriously as I took acting. And I understood that it's consistency. This workout isn't going to give me a six pack today, but it's going to get me closer. This audition isn't going to make me famous today, but it's going to get me closer.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So it was just
Yeah.
kind of both of those hand in hand.
Wow.
And now
Yeah.
everyone refers to me as the big guy, and it's great.
Yes. But that's amazing. It's so cool because it not only helped you in the physical sense of the casting types that you wanted, but it also seems to have connected you deeper to an awareness of your craft as an actor, to your senses. Like you said, you're like able to relax yourself if like you're carrying tension. I
Hmm.
even noticed it like when we were acting together in like Souls Road, you'd be able to like for me or for other actors, you'd be like, hey, like you'd like just like help us like physically too, you like could give
Hmm.
us breathing exercises or like just connect. And it's true, like your physicality makes such a difference in that way too, of like connecting to other people. It's like it's all through the body too, right?
Hmm. Yeah, dude, I think that's huge. And it's helped me in a lot of ways, like mentally for sure. But I think the being in tune with your body is a big thing I've been so aware of because I pay attention to it. And even if I'm in a scene and I feel like the impulse is like to cross my arms, like there's like a second brain that's like keeping an eye on my body. And when I
Mm,
cross my arms, it like analyzes quick, was that actor or character? And if
mm,
it's like, oh, the actor's doing that, I'm like, then you got to fucking open up, man. But if it's the character doing
mm,
that, I'm like, okay, understand why. Like I had to really, and I still find that on set. Like I just did a thing where I don't think the guy ever stood still, not in a fidgety way, but I was always leaning or like sprawling or sitting or on somebody, like just very
mm,
physical. And I feel like that was one of the things where I was like, I understand my body in a really cool way now. Um,
mm,
that's just helped me deepen it because there's so much of acting that isn't the words, as you know. Like it's your body
mm,
language, it's your intensity, it's your how close are you to the other person, like all these little things.
mm.
So I'm very grateful for that to have been part of my journey for sure.
Well, other than your body, there's something that's very unique and interesting and beautiful about you, which is your voice. Tell me about how you worked on your voice, because little do a lot of people know you're really good at impressions, and your vocal range is extensive, as witnessed in a karaoke session
Karaoke
once,
bar in St. John's.
where all of a
Yeah.
sudden you have such a range. So tell me also, what's your vocal training like?
Yeah.
How did
There's
you explore that?
cigarettes and alcohol. No, I do honestly, I do attribute a little bit of it to that. I've always had, I mean, I'm fucking 6'4" and 260. Like there's a lot of resonance here, but it's not always been the case. When I went to film school, I had a teacher that kept calling me out on, I was like whisper acting, he would call it. And I was never on my voice and I couldn't figure it out. And then I got into acting class with this lady named Nadine Wright, and she started poking into it a little bit. And she was one that really got me on my body too, because I was always would physically and vocally just try to make myself small, you know?
Oh, wow.
And I would be talking in the scene like this, and I was like, "What? I'm on my voice. I don't understand what you mean." And she's like, "I call bullshit, my friend." Like she was just in, and she would get me to. She was the one. I'll still hear her in my head when I'm on set, especially in this last one. Be standing and doing nothing. She's like, "Lean, Josh," and I'm like, just trying not to be stiff in it. But like, there was one time during the class, she's like, "Put your hands above your head." And I was like, she's like, "Behind your head." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "No, just sit back in that." So I'm sitting there and she's like, "How does that feel?" And I was like, "I feel obnoxious." And she's like, "You don't look obnoxious. Like you look like you're just sitting in your size and your power." And that was a big click for me physically. And then there was another guy in class. I had him on my podcast, a guy named Jagan Johnson, and he's got a fucking big booming voice too. And he was one that I was like, "Oh, this dude is on his voice, and he's not afraid that it is a big, loud voice, that it is commanding, and he's still vulnerable." And I don't think that he's a dick for being on his voice or being loud, you know? So I think that started to just give me permission, and then slowly working with other people on set that were just had such reverberating voices, these big, deep voices that they were on it. And I'm like, "Oh, this is a big tool for me too." So I started to just like, it's like A Star Is Born, and just steal people's voices, man.
You Bradley Coopered
But
your way up. That's so
right,
cool.
I stole your
Well, tell
voice.
me.
You weren't using it.
Well, tell me, my friend. Tell me, what was it like when you graduated from Vancouver Film School, and what were like the first few auditions that you went up? How did you, navigate that process now that you had some tools? What were, like the struggles, but also the victories that you had? Tell us a bit about that
Yeah.
time, because I think a lot of people who listen to these kinds of podcasts are maybe in
Mm-hmm.
that space, or but like we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, dude. That's another great question. Man, it was graduating was like a rug being pulled out from under me, honestly. You know, I
Really?
had 12 months of a support system of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 with these same 30 people, in classes of 12 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we graduated and 75% of us moved away. And the 25% that stayed slowly started to trickle off out of those 30
Oh,
some people. And some
wow.
people in that were some of the most talented people in class, the guys that were gonna fucking blow up, and they stopped.
Whoa.
They stopped because it was hard, because that rug just
Wow.
put you on your ass. So it
Yeah.
was very jarring, man.
Wow.
The way some schools, and not to shit on VFS too much, I made a lot of great connections there, but I don't know how set up we were for what the industry actually was. We only had one class in our third term. So there's 3 4 month terms. In our
Right.
third term, we had a class called the Biz. And that's where we slowly discussed it. And we had this teacher,
Yes.
Bart Anderson, who actually tried to tell us, like, "Guys, this is going to suck a little bit."
Yeah.
And
Everyone's like, no way. We're so good.
dude, yeah, like every other teacher said we were going to fucking be famous this year. So
Yeah.
but it was, it
Exactly.
was, it was tricky, man. And like, I had a lot
Yes.
of ego coming out of VFS. Like, I was like, I'm the
Yeah.
shit. And thought I was just going to fucking explode right away.
Yeah.
So coming out and getting into auditioning was the first thing I ever auditioned for was for Arrow for the role of
Oh.
the Flash, like
Oh my
way back.
God.
So I was like,
No
oh, I'm
way.
done. I made it. I'm gonna
I'm
fucking
gonna
book
be the
this.
Flash.
Yeah, man. And obviously I
Wow.
wasn't. But I signed with a pretty big agent in Vancouver right
Okay.
away,
Uh-huh.
off referral from one of the teachers, because I was
Oh wow.
originally all my friends are moving home. I was like, I should move home and work for a while too. Like that's
Ah.
yeah, I should just see what happens. And the teacher just told me straight up, he's like, dude, if you move away, you're not coming back. Like you're just
Mm.
not. And I was like, he's so right
Yeah.
because I no, I'll get to it progressively. So I signed with this agent and had fuck, I don't even remember if we officially signed. Like the audition was kind of a shit test. Like it was a tape, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was atrocious at best. Like it's a bad audition for sure. It's bad. It's bad.
One day you have to post it. You in the red suit.
Uh, just running, dude. It's really rough, and it was not on my voice at all, not in my body at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's great for me to look back on that stuff though, and just see
Yeah,
how far I've brought that.
yeah.
Um, but so that was my first one, and I remember I got some headshots done, and this agent was just kind of taking his time getting back to me on stuff, and I could kind of tell like, yeah, I'm a
Mm.
small fish. You're a big agency. So I was like, I've got other agents that are asking to meet with me, and he's like, yeah, you should take all the meetings you can get, and I'm like, okay. So I left that agency.
Okay. Yeah.
I signed with another one that was fairly small, and ended up. So this is September 2013, I think.
Okay.
And then I can't remember if I signed with another one right away or if I moved home because for 2013, 2014, and 2015, right around November, I would move back to Alberta because shit's
Uh,
hard. And I would
yep.
stay there until Alberta was hard. And I'm like, okay, I can't be with family
Wow.
anymore. And I'd move back here in
Mm.
February or March when stuff kind of picks up again,
Yeah.
and just work at home and save.
Yep.
And then sign another agent, and doesn't quite vibe. This guy, um,
Yeah.
I remember we were doing our initial meet, and he's like, "Okay, we'll pull up your shirt. Like, let's see what we're working with." I was like,
What?
"Ugh."
What?
And he was like, "Okay, well, we gotta get you gluten free. You gotta eat like this because you need washboard abs. You're gonna be in the CW." And I'm like, "All right, this one's not gonna work either."
Whoa.
So
Wow.
left that agency. The next one I
Yeah.
was with for a decent amount of time. Never actually met her, only dealt with her assistants, which says a lot.
Interesting.
And ended up, I think, like, dude, I was homeless while I was with this agent. I was like
Oh yeah.
couch surfing and welfare, and then working as a janitor, and then living in a crack
Yes.
house. And at that point, I remember when I cut her, I was working nonstop, um,
Wow.
like 7 days a week at this barbecue place, and then doing the prep cook for their sister restaurant, living in this
Wow.
crack house. And I forgot that I had a tape or an audition. There wasn't tapes yet. Audition the next day. I
Wow.
messaged them like 3 in the morning. I'm like, guys, I know I have one at 11. Like, I can't. I'm so run down. And it had happened a few times. They were on me about getting new headshots, and I was like, I have no money, man. Like,
Yeah.
I can't. And I remember them replying with like, our your financial woes aren't our concern. And we're gonna not submit you for any film and television auditions anymore because you've passed on too many. We're just gonna put you in commercials. So I was like put on timeout.
Whoa.
And I'm like, all right, like, I don't think this is working for me. I'm gonna leave the agency. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to be removed from the roster, and they did. And then that was, I think I went like 6, 8 months without an agent and was doing fine, like was just working, and was probably close to the point where I was just gonna work and like, yeah, I'll get new headshots and a new agent soon. And that was like, a split in a timeline where I don't do this anymore, right?
Mm.
Um, and then Shannon and I started dating, and this was
Mm.
May 2018. And I'm telling her, like,
Yes.
I was like, yeah, I'm an actor. I'm an actor. She said, you just work at the barbecue place, right? And I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to do headshots soon. I'll get an agent again soon. And she really started making me hit that gas pedal. And,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, I was like, okay, well, I've got money on this check for headshots. My next one should be bigger. I'll do them then. And she's like, just do it now. Just do it now.
Nice.
Like, fuck it, do it now. So I did them and got signed to, there was an agent that followed the headshot photographer and reached out and wanted to meet with me. And she signed with me. And I booked a few gigs with her. That eventually went
Wow.
south too. Um,
Oh,
this one is, I feel, very important because a lot of
okay.
actors, I feel like, don't do this or wouldn't do this. So we're in COVID at this point, and I'm
Oh,
talking about how I'm getting no tapes. And I got a tape for a show, and the breakdown kind of threw me off. And it was talking
mm,
about this character's smoldering sexy, and there's fire in his eyes, and he takes the air out of the room, and it was just like sexy, 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 sexy. And I was like, fuck, all right. So I tried it a couple times to put it up on tape, and I ended up messaging her, and I was like, hey, like I've tried this a couple times. This breakdown is, I'm really not liking it.
mm-hmm.
I don't feel comfortable doing this tape. I know I'm not going to be comfortable on set.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste anyone's time here. I want to pass on this. And for me, if you say you're uncomfortable, it's above
End
reproach.
of
There's nothing else.
discussion. Yeah.
Exactly. Period. And she came back trying to like fucking make me feel bad a little bit. She's like, well, you were asking like, why are there no tapes and you're not getting auditions? And then I give you
Mm,
one, don't want to do it. And I'm like, you know what?
yeah.
I'm done. So left there,
Yeah.
spent another it was during COVID. So I think I spent close to a year without an agent that time
Whoa.
and
Wow.
was fine, like, so that's
Mm-hmm.
a big slowdown for people. And then I signed with the agent I'm with now, and she's
Nice.
fucking fantastic. And I've been with her
Nice.
since, the last 5 years. And she's the
Wow.
first one that was like, hey, we're going to do XYZ. We're going to build a career. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I've passed on countless tapes for her, and not out of a
Mm,
way like I think I'm too good for shit. But if I'm like, I had one in the summer that was like bodybuilding influencer, and I'm like,
mm.
they're not looking for my acting. They're looking for my body. And I don't like that.
Wow.
When you can tell they're just going for a look. And I've just said, I'm like, I don't really feel this one. And I've told you about passing on shit. And she's like, all good.
Yeah.
Like, they're very big on like me trusting my gut because it has led me to opportunity. And they understand that. And
Mm,
it's like, I gotta trust my gut. Like, end of the day, if I don't like this, I can't do it. So
mm.
finding an agent that gets that. I've got friends with agents that they just, if they get an email or a text, they stress, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's so and so. Fuck, no, he really wants me to do that one." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Do you want to do it?" They're like, "No, no." I'm like, "Then say no." But it's
Yeah.
hard, man. People just
It's a
really,
toxic relationship that a lot of people enter into with their
that's
agents where they think it's like their boss or, like you said, kind of a partner that's
yeah,
actually a bit more toxic or abusive at times, right? So
yeah, dude. And people think
it's
they can't
dangerous.
get
Yeah.
better, so they stay. They're like, "Well, I can't find another agent." I'm like, "You can, dude. I'm on
So
five." Like,
true. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I love
like
that you're
it's
sharing this story. It's so true because I think so many actors are afraid if they break up with an agent that they'll never get an agent again. And you're a living
yeah,
proof that actually it is part of the process of finding the correct agent is to
yeah,
go out, experiment, break up, have periods where you don't have an agent too. There's
yeah, dude,
especially in the non-union world, like try out a bunch because
yeah,
there's backstage, there's actors access, there's so many ways to access roles nowadays that
hmm
an agent is maybe helpful a certain period of your career, but never at the cost of your integrity or your mental health or your
no.
well-being, right?
That's just it, man. Anytime, like any agents I've left, it's because I've been made to feel uncomfortable, and that's not okay.
Yeah. No.
And that's been something that I've really tried to stick to my guns on. And I'm like, if I'm,
Cool.
I've told this agent before when I'm like, it's like, oh, well, if there's something that's I don't want to say pushed back, but she'll come back
Mhm.
with like, I totally understand where you're at. If you feel like taping for it, this is a really big opportunity. XYZ. All that said, we have your back, whatever you choose. And sometimes
Mm.
that's enough for me to be like, yeah, fuck it, let's throw it down because I feel supported.
Mm.
But and then
Yeah.
if I'm like, you know what, no, like I'm really going through something right now. I just need a little bit of space from it, and this isn't one that I want to jump on. She's like, totally get it. Yeah,
Mm.
and it's been fine.
Well, speaking of jumping on to good things, let's talk about it since we're like 40 minutes deep already. Let's talk about jumping in on Soul's Road. So tell me about
Yeah,
how did
dude.
the audition or the tape enter into your life? And was there an intuition to the magnitude of that role? Were there roles that prepared you that, or were there like experiences that sort of prepared you for that role?
Um, it was interesting, man. I feel like it was every now and then one comes through where I'm like, oh, there's a world that I get this one. Like I
Mm,
resonate with this character right away. The scope of the
mm,
project makes sense. Everything that I'm like, oh, I feel like I can tell that story. And sometimes I
mm.
feel that and I don't book it, which is fine. I still
Yeah.
know I did a good tape. This was one. Um, I said no to the audition, and
No
and
way.
Sarah and Sarah pushed back, right? Because I said I was
Okay.
like,
Well,
I don't know about this one. Like they want me to play guitar and sing on stage.
oh
Like I don't fucking
yes.
do that. I really don't fucking want to tape playing guitar. And she was like, totally get where you're at. Like again, we got your back no matter what. If you
Wow.
feel like it, like, put down the tape, it's been a little bit of a dry spell, could be some good money. Indies are fun. And I was like,
Yes.
fuck, all right, fuck it. So as you know, they wanted your audition and then a scene of you playing music or doing whatever.
Wow. Yeah.
And I've got on my phone, there's probably 20 takes of me with the guitar trying to play something and then hitting a wrong note. And I'm like, fuck, again, and then do it. Fuck. I was just so stressed, man. Like I was like, I don't
Wow.
want to do this. And
Wow.
then booked it and they were like, I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna have to play guitar. They're like, oh, he's a bass player. I'm like, fuck, even worse. I'm like, great. So um and nothing prepared me for that side of it.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. When I was homeless and surfing and stuff, I did a lot of busking. And I
Ah.
think
Yeah.
I think that made it worse actually. Because because I was just seeing
Right.
people's reaction. I'm like, oh, that song made me $5. I can go buy milk, you
Mm.
know? And I'm like, okay,
Mm.
this isn't something that people are into. Um,
Mm.
so I think that's always been part of my resistance with like live music. As you know, I sang karaoke, but I was,
Yeah.
alcohol poisoned at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But so then getting the role, the first person I talked to about it was jumped on a Zoom with Joel,
Oh
and
wow.
who's the director, obviously. And I felt
Yeah.
such a good energy from him. I was like, oh, I'm stoked to work with this guy. Like, this is fucking awesome.
Mm.
And we talked about the bass playing, and he's like, no, it's all good. It's not going to be plugged in. You just do whatever you want, man. You know how to play guitar? He's like, yeah. It's like, it's just like guitar, just a little slower. I'm like, cool, great. So I did that. And we were lucky. We had a ton of talented musicians on set. Um, Owen showed me just a couple spots on the guitar. He's like, just play here, play slow.
Yeah.
Dallas, a bunch of the songs we played, well, the only songs we played were Dallas's songs, and I could find them on YouTube. And I would just watch
Mm.
the bass player, and I'm like, when are you moving? When are you not? 'Cause I couldn't hear the bass, man, which apparently
Yeah.
is what makes a good bass player. So,
Mm.
and then bottom line for me, I knew I wasn't going to master playing this stuff live in the 2 weeks I had.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing was being comfortable on stage. You know,
Mm.
everything else was just a plus. If I could
Mm.
just look comfortable playing the guitar. So Owen showed me
Yeah.
the frets to play and the tempo to play. And then I just focused all my energy on being comfortable up there in front of 250 extras, like I knew what I was doing.
Mm.
And it worked out okay, man. But that was, on the day. Every time, you finish the scene and like, okay, first team can relax. You guys can go grab a coffee. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I was like, I got to stay here, man. If I leave, I will not come back out. Like, I got to stay.
Yeah.
Like, the
Yeah.
cameras weren't even on me, and I was still giving it because I'm like, I can't. Yeah, had to stay. But it turned
Mm.
out okay. Everything since has been really cool because, as you know, doing a gig, like, you can't really have expectations of what's to come from it. Like, the work has to be
Mm-hmm.
enough. Like, you've
Yeah.
really got to get your kicks on the day because
Mm.
you don't know what comes after that. You don't even know if it goes anywhere, if it gets picked up, if it does festivals,
Yeah.
if it does anything. But dude, the biggest thing to come out of that for me is just the people. Like, I
Yeah.
still talk to almost everyone we worked with, you know.
Yeah.
The production company, I talked to you, I talked to Joel, I talked to Owen. Like, it's all been talked to
Yeah.
Dallas. Just it was such a tight knit crew, and everyone was kind of on the same page of like doing something special. And that
Mm.
I think was just very formative. I texted Joel the other day, and that was September 2023, and I just
Mm.
finished a show in Winnipeg, and I texted him. I was like, dude, I haven't felt this good about something I've been on since Souls Road. Like, that's how rare those
Wow.
spots are, you know. That since Souls Road, I've had 6, 7 plus gigs, and I'm like, none of them have sparked that same feeling of like
Mm.
you're doing something special, you know. You're
Mm.
really telling a story that needs to be told. You're not just
Mm.
a robber number two. Like, he went that way,
Yeah.
you know. Like, I don't know why the robber says he went that way. It's a bad robber.
Exactly.
I didn't get the robber role, but it was just special, man. Everyone was like really fucking in tune with each other. Department
Mm.
9 really pulled together a good crew. Joel pulled together a fucking great cast. Um, and the role really ended up being kind of therapeutic for me too, because the guy's just so
Mm.
deeply angry, and I'm like, it was nice to not get that out, but explore that and be able to
Mm.
bring not just one dimensional angry to it, to be able to incorporate, like we're talking about, that
Yeah.
genuine sense of vulnerability and sadness. I don't think he's angry. I think he's just deeply, deeply sad, and he's not
Mm.
emotionally intelligent enough to express that. So he's like, I'm just going to be angry, right?
Mm.
So no, it was great. It's still some of the most fun I've had on set in 13, 14 years acting. I think it's up there top three for me. And
Yeah.
it's got to be top two for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So cool. So cool. Yeah. Tell me maybe like what was like one of the funniest or funnest moments for you on set? Like what was like some of the highlights for you, like some major events that happened for you during that time on set?
There's there's a few, man. I think the funniest thing for me was so I flew in Tuesday, I think.
Mhm.
We filmed did some stuff Wednesday. We filmed Thursday, Friday. Friday night, I grew up kind of around Edmonton, so I had high school friends there. So I went out. So I went out Friday night with some of my high school friends, and flash forward 5 a.m. We're in the back of this bar. Everything's shut down. We're drinking with the staff, just having a great time. Fully shut it down. And then I get the call sheet for Monday, and like this bar that I'm supposed to own. I'm like, that's fucking familiar. And we get there, and I'm like, oh, this is the bar. Like, this is the bar I'm supposed to own. I was like, this is great. I already know all the staff. And the manager, a guy named Colton Greeno, was talking to us about, yeah, we're gonna do this. That's there. That's there. Josh, I'm like, hey buddy. He's like, this is the movie. I'm like, yeah, this is the movie. So
Wow.
that was that. I think that because then we did the concert scene that day, and I was like, oh, I'm very familiar with this bar now. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
that's instinct, man. You can't teach it. It's just
Wow.
on. So that was one. Um, Funny moments, dude. I mean, every night we'd go out and have a few beers and hang out together, and that I found was rare. That was
Yes.
really fun. I think some of the most fun I had was probably those nights because you're just
Yeah.
bonding. And I
Yeah.
mean, by the time we got to our scene together, we were
Mhm.
fucking thick as
Best
thieves, you know?
friends. Yeah,
Yeah, so
exactly.
it was
Yeah.
fucking perfect, and it felt like we were just laying it down. That scene in the bar, I was like, we were improvising all over the place. None of that
Yeah.
made the cut, but
It certainly made our performances grounded.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
some good times. The other one I think was like, Dallas is a very seasoned performer. Um,
Mm.
and we're about to step out on stage to do that big scene. And I was like, hey man, do you ever get like, you get nervous and you get on stage, and I put my fist up for the double bump. He's like, not really, no. And walked away. I'm like, sick, dope, let's go. Yeah, that
Yes.
was fun. There's countless, man. Like,
Yeah.
It was just such a great time. And
Yeah.
it was so great for me to explore my needs as an actor, you
Mm.
know, like, because it's if you're number 42 on the call sheet, like they don't really, you're like, I need this and I need this. So like, you just fucking say the line, man. Like, but you
Yeah,
get to
yeah,
something like
yeah.
this where there's substance to it, and you're like, I really feel like it should be like this or like that. They're receptive, you know, and that's not always the
Mm.
case. So gigs like that are super special. And I think the top three I'm thinking of are the ones where I've been allowed to actually explore. I'm not
Mm.
walking in to hit their marks and say their beats and give their line reads, you know. You're able
Yeah.
to actually explore a little bit of character, a little bit of craft, and yeah, find your needs as an actor, find what really helped you. Um, and I heard, I was on a recent gig, one of the crew members was talking about an actor, and they're like, yeah, he was pretty particular though. And I was like, in what way? Like, he's like, oh, well, you know, he wanted like this set up the right way, or he wanted to know which way the door was opening, or he wanted it like this, that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like I will do the same because that's going to help me do my job, which makes
Mm.
everyone's job better, you know.
Yeah.
If I finish a take and they're doing a turnaround, it's I'm gonna go have a smoke and I'm gonna drink a coffee and I'm gonna do a little bit of breathing and I'm gonna come
Mm.
back and I'm gonna know, you know, or if it's something like I'm supposed to open this mini fridge in this scene, but they're like, oh, but it's out of shot right now. I'm like, right, but there's no fridge here. Like, oh, it will be. I'm like, great. What does it look like? Which way does it open? Like, it sounds stupid, but I'm like, if I'm opening it one way, and then they bring it in and they're saying it's going to be on the ground there. I'm like, okay. And then we get to the take, and now the fridge is up here, and everything I've done is
Yeah.
down here. And I'm like, so those gigs I think are just so special because you're able to explore what makes you you, and you're able to
Mm.
try some things and see if they work, see if they don't. And you just find yourself as an actor, man. Like auditions are one thing, you know, auditioning is a separate
Mm.
craft, but being on set, I feel like that's where you really learn and you work with other pros and you bounce off and you find that like, oh, that thing he's doing really seems to, I'm going to try that. No, it didn't
Mm.
work for me, you know, stuff like that.
Mm.
But it's just so rare and so grateful to have been able to be a part of gigs like that. Like those are the ones that make it worth it after, you know, you 2 years of a day play or small stuff or
Yeah.
whatever it is, something that you're like, yeah, I can tell this story, but it's not really resonating with me. I can tell that I'm just performing here. There's not a lot that I feel like I'm drawing on, you know. So
Mm.
being able to be like, okay, this is important to me. This is awakening a little bit of passion. Um,
Mm.
this just makes it special for me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's worth it. I haven't been for the last couple of years, at least since Souls Road. Um,
Mm.
maybe less, but I'll see an audition come in and then I'm like, oh fuck, right, I got to do that audition later. Okay, I'll get to it. Ah, fuck, I got to do that tape still. And then after Souls Road and after the gig I just did, I'm like, dude, I can't wait for that next tape because I'm gonna lay it
Mm.
down. And then I did, and I'm like, dude, I can't wait for the next one, like, because I'm just in, you
Wow.
get in like a flow state for a bit, and I
Mm.
feel that's only sparked by feeling like what you're doing is important. Not that we're, you
Wow.
know, we're not saving lives, but it is important.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow. That's so cool. I'm so glad to hear that that this one film has then generated new sort of faith in the process, and
100%.
it's brought about really cool roles for you too. Like, tell us about what were the projects that followed Souls Road, and what do you feel like you learned from Souls Road that brought you to enjoy those projects or those new auditions even more?
Yeah, I think Souls Road was coming right around the time of me figuring out to just fucking chill out and say the words. You know, like
Mm,
I'd done some gigs previously that was starting to drop in where I was like, I'm like, dude, fuck it. Like just chill out. Stop trying to act, you know,
mm,
and just sit and say the words. So that became my big testing grounds with Souls Road to just chill the fuck out and say the word.
mm.
And everything else kind of clicked and was going. And it was stuff, you know, there was gigs that preceded it that got me to that point. And then Souls
Yeah.
Road really solidified that I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the way it's working. Um,
Mm,
And then I booked, I booked 2 things after Souls Road, and then I had a year and a half of nothing.
Mm.
I booked a day play on a show called Tracker a couple months
Yes.
after Souls Road.
Oh, yes.
And
Right. I
then
remember
I
that.
did like a Hallmark Christmas movie that I'm
Yes.
uncredited in that spring.
Oh,
I know.
was
Fuckers.
this the one where you were a dad?
Yeah.
No.
How do you uncredit me? You
Dad.
saved me. I know. Yeah, I went because it's on my MDB. It's like John uncredited, and I'm like,
What
oh,
the heck? Oh
fuck.
my God, Hallmark, get
And
on
it's
it. Get
like,
on it.
and then it was another year and a half until I booked anything, and
Uh-huh.
that was tough, man. Like I was talking to some friends
Mm.
recently, and it's like, I had a coach
Yeah.
used to say, anyone can be an actor when you're working.
Yes.
How are you an actor in between your gigs? How do you sustain
Yes.
that?
That's
If you're
it.
on set, easiest job in the fucking world, man.
Easiest. So true.
It's when you're not working that this shit's hard.
That's a
And that's
working
when I
actor.
feel like, yeah, that's it, right? So it was that year and a half and nothing that was
Mm.
really, that was a testing ground too, right? I'm like, okay, I need to stay at
Totally.
this. And then we were doing a lot of like Souls Road promo in that time. So I was just fucking riding
Yeah.
that. Thank God,
Right.
man. And then I didn't book until
Yeah.
this last June or July. And then when we were
Right.
doing the fall Souls Road tour,
Oh
I had
yeah.
to fly in and out because I was filming something. And
Yeah.
it's just fucking cool.
Yeah.
Um, and then and like I said, who knows? I just got off this gig. It might be another year and a half, you know.
Yeah. You
But
never know.
the cool thing about that day play for Tracker, as you know, if you day play on something, you've fucking burned that show, you
Yeah.
know. But the casting
Yes.
agreed that my part wasn't recognizable enough. So by season 4, I'm
Nice.
allowed to come back. So I just laid down a fucking great recurring guest star. So let's
Oh,
fucking go.
nice. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Guest star.
and
Guest star.
let's go, please. But otherwise, dude, I spent that year just moving boxes, like back in the
Mm.
trenches, just keeping my mind on the goal. And
Yeah.
I was moving boxes yesterday. I'll move boxes tomorrow, like
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of, it is really the work between the work that's going to define your
Yeah.
longevity. Like, how do you keep in it? How do you keep at it? And you got to have your ducks in a row. How are you going to get your ducks in a row? You got to work. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're so hardworking, you're dedicated, like you and it's beautiful too, like, and to bring it back to Shannon, who kind of got you on that discipline and on that train and
Mhm.
kept you in Vancouver and kept you on your things. You also got engaged right during that time,
Yeah,
right?
dude.
Like that's huge.
Woman,
Like,
dude, the woman maketh the man. I say it all the time.
hmm,
Maketh or breaketh, the woman maketh the man. And
yeah.
it's been huge. And I've noticed a huge uptick in how seriously I take it, how seriously I take life, work. It
Yeah.
all hits around then. And a lot of it is me getting into, late 20s and now early 30s, that there's just a
Yeah.
grounding sense of like, oh, I know who I am. And
Yeah.
a lot of that comes from her, undoubtedly, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
And now she's had to fucking support me for 8 years. Now I can't stop. It's like I gotta make it now. It's like it's
Uh-huh.
a high risk, high reward investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, dude, it's a fucking whirlwind of a career. But I
Mm.
wouldn't have it any other way for sure. I
Yeah.
think if I went back and I told myself at when I was leaving VFS and thinking
Yeah.
I was gonna make it right away, and I was like, you're not gonna make it this year. Well, what about next year?
Mm.
Not next year either. In 5 years? No. What about 10 years? I don't think so, buddy. I probably would have quit, like
Wow.
I for sure would have quit. I've spent every year thinking this is the
This is
year.
the year. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And every year it's a baby step further.
Mm.
So I think you've got to have that. Like you've just got
Mm.
to think that and don't get disappointed when it's not. Zoom out at the
Mm.
year and be like, hey man, I'm still doing it. I'm
Mm.
still dedicated, still in it. I'm still here. I'm still working. I'm still breathing. So
Mm.
not all bad. I'm not living in a van again, so I'm good, man. Yeah, like,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes it is good to dance with rock bottom in our lives to
Hmm.
really realize, oh, you can really hit and you keep on digging. And once
Dude,
you get beyond that point and you can save yourself from those circumstances, you're like, well, I can do anything now, right?
Yeah, man. Like even it's like,
Wow.
yeah, what's the worst that happens? Oh, you could be homeless. I'm like, again.
Yeah, done that. Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
I know
Let's
how to get
go.
out of that. Yeah, I know where the
Yeah,
welfare
yeah.
office is. Yeah, I know how to couch
Mm-hmm.
surf. I know how to get the job as a janitor. Like I could
Mm-hmm.
climb out of it again, and I feel like that gives me such a
Yeah,
sense of safety. I walked by the park. I went to see Jeremy today, Jeremy Lacombe,
yeah.
and he lives on Commercial Drive. And I walked by the park where I lived in the van, and that van is still there. And I rented it from this guy named Arnie for $50 a week. And it didn't
Wow.
run and it didn't lock. And I lived in it with my cat for a month and a half.
Yeah.
So when I left, I would bike lock the door. And when I was
Wow.
there, there was no lock from the inside. And I just had to, like, if I heard someone trying to get at the handle, I had to just like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah," and like try and chase people off. That
Wow.
van is still there. There's been some work done on it. It looks like maybe it runs now because they move it around, but he's clearly
Wow.
still just renting it out to people in that hard spot. And I
Yeah.
had, dude, some of the deepest community with people when I was homeless.
Mm.
Like I still see some of those people and will talk to them. There's a guy,
Yeah.
Jerome, that I see all the time down there, and he's still in that system, but it's hard to get
Mm.
out of, man. Like
Yeah.
you would get $700 a month from welfare at that point. And
Mm-hmm.
if you worked and you made over 200, they would deduct it from
You're
the
out.
welfare. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
did get a job, you had to make, 2 grand to break even on that, whatever you were getting. So it
Wow.
was really hard, man. So for me to get out, I would have to, this is gonna get me sued, but I'd have welfare and I'd make that 700, and then I would go work like cash construction gigs, try and float
Yeah.
above. And
Yeah.
then I got out of that when I started couch surfing, and then I started working as a janitor. And then
Wow.
from there, I think as I was a janitor, I finally was able to get into my own place with roommates and stuff and slowly get out
Yeah.
of that. But it was really cool to walk by that van and see it still there. And I'm like, I told you you'd get out of the van. I was like, that's also why I can't fucking quit now. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
that Josh would be pissed. I'm like, what do you mean you stopped? Like,
Mm.
why did I shower in a Tim Hortons sink, man? Oh,
Mm.
like it's just such a you owe it to yourself at a certain point. You owe it to everyone that believes in you. You know,
Mm.
you really
Mm-hmm.
do. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you just can't. Yeah, why
Wow.
stop now?
I love it, man. Yeah, it's so cool. I love your journey. I love your story. I think that so many people are going to be inspired by it. And, you have your own podcast called Bottom of the Call Sheet podcast.
I do.
And you talk to people in this profound way that we have had this opportunity to talk to tonight. So I'm just curious if like where can, the viewers and the listeners who've been listening and watching where can they follow you, where can they get like maybe see some of your projects, or
Hmm.
I know that this weekend, the day that this drops, which is we're dropping February 5th or February 6th 2026, so go and see Souls Road this weekend, which features Josh Collins and many great actors like Camille Stops, country music star Dallas Smith, the amazing directorial debut for Joel Stewart, who's an amazing director in the music world, but this is his first fiction feature debut. Department 9 Studios, awesome crew, awesome cast with Charlie Gillespie and Oren. I'm so sorry, I forgot. No, do you know his
Meg,
last name?
Meg.
Yes,
Oh, Owen,
yes.
Owen, Oren or Owen? Owen
Oren,
Meg's
Owen
McCusker.
Mags, McClusker,
Yeah,
yes, and many more who I'm forgetting. Gina Mazzaros. But
yeah.
there's so many amazing Canadian actors in it. There's Alan Hawko. It's jam packed with beautiful talent, beautiful people, like you were mentioning, and also just with such a heart and an uplifting kind of energy to it. So if anybody's
Mhm.
listening or watching and hears this and has time, go and check this movie out. It's really wonderful. We hope that it reaches many, many different souls. But where can the souls who've been listening and watching go and follow your journey?
You can find me on Instagram at the.josh.collins. I don't like the, but Josh.Collins was taken, so I just took it.
Yeah,
You can
me
find the
too.
podcast on, right? Yeah, you're like, fuck, whoever that guy is, I'll take it.
Yeah.
You can find the podcast, Bottom of the Call Sheet, on Spotify. I've got an
Yes.
Instagram profile for that as well, where I'll post new episodes and stuff. Season 2 coming soon. I
Yes.
think it's botc.pod on
Yes, it is.
Instagram.
Yes, it is.
Oh, good, good.
I'm your manager.
That's funny. And then as far as gigs, man, I've really been trying to stay off Instagram, but I'll try and post anything on there when
Mhm.
stuff comes up. My IMDb stays pretty
Yep.
up to date. Um, Otherwise, nothing crazy on the rise. March 21st, I have a movie with Abigail Breslin and Michael Eklund and Bethany Brown dropping on Lifetime. Um,
Whoa.
they fucking changed the name and now I don't remember what it is.
Okay.
But that's coming. It was called Don't Fall Asleep. I think now it's called like I Killed Him in My Sleep or something like
Oh,
that.
nice. Oh,
But
cool.
very it was very like almost like if Kevin wasn't so depressed, like I run a coffee shop and Abby's one of the workers there, and
Oh,
without
cool.
giving too many spoilers, I sign her up for a sleep study because she needs cash, and she goes and does this
Oh,
sleep study,
nice.
and then keeps having dreams
Cool.
that she killed someone. Um, and
Whoa.
then maybe it's not a dream, all that. But that's on Lifetime,
Oh,
March
nice.
21st. Um, I don't think there's anything else popping up anytime soon, but I will keep the Instagram people apprised of anything.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice,
man.
man. Nice. Wow, what a chat, man. What a really good dive deep into who you have become and through all the events that went in your life. And, there's some real gems in there that I think, whether people be an actor, a director, an artist, or just a human being, I think there's so much to learn from your story and from your journey. And I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for hopping on this podcast, man. I really love you. I'm so, so glad that you came on. And yeah, I usually end with "and scene." So let's do it. And
And
scene.
scene.
There we go.